Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio. With me today is Mark Butler. Mark is the independent candidate for sheriff here in Warren County. There's 4 individuals running. We have Mark Butler, Jason Poe is the Republican candidate, Mickey Licklider is independent, and Jorge Amselle is the Democrat candidate. So Mark, that's 4 people running for sheriff. That's a lot,
It is.
and I know that several of you have been working this a long time. You've been doing this for what, 2 years?
2 years. Yeah, it's been 2 years since
And it
I
seems
formally
like yesterday,
came
doesn't it?
out. It really does. But it's been a blessing and a curse. But it's
Right.
been a lot of great things I've learned from this.
It's a whole lot different than just running patrol, isn't it? It's kind of like working undercover.
It's really like working a big case. But
Yeah.
you get to really speak with everyone, and over the past 2 years, I've really got to meet thousands and thousands of people, and the support and what we hear from the street and the heartbeat. Just can't wait to get into office now.
Right. That's coming November
November
5th.
5th.
Next Tuesday is the day everyone votes, so that'll happen. So you want to kind of update what's been going on? You got some plans? If you get elected, what you're going to do first, second, and third?
Well, actually, when we started putting everything together and running full force about a year ago, and when we first came out, we started working on our implementation and putting everything into place, from our strategic plan to how we were going to make effective change. And so we're really just waiting now for November 5th to be over so we can start actually bringing change to our community, and good, effective, positive change that will reunite our community again.
One of the things that have come up with all the campaigns from the Board of Supervisors and the sheriff and the school board is transparency has seemed to be the word. And also the second one is the broom party is pretty much taken over, and they basically want to throw everyone that's ever touched anything in politics, throw them out, and they want all new people to come in. I mean, have you seen that sentiment as you talk to people?
My goal has been to speak to 100 to 200 people a day.
Right.
Some days we come really close, some days we blow it out of the water, some days not so much,
Sure.
but the consistency has been the same. People are tired of being bullied all the way across the board in our county, and we kind of feel that way. And me being a representative of the county and a person of the community for many years, I think we're all just tired of it. And we want actually to reunite the community that once was.
Right.
So
People want to feel like they belong.
exactly. And, I tried to say it at the forum, no matter what happens on November 5th, November 6th, we're still going to have to live together.
Sure.
So, you have people, and I call it the Inquirer, on social media, Facebook, just, really going out and throwing bully tactics out there. Just ask the people. I mean, if anyone hasn't spoke to me, that's because they haven't reached out and tried, because
Right.
I've been out everywhere
right.
for 2 years, from sitting in the cold, freezing rain at the flea market to sitting in the parking lot of Walmart to going to churches. So, our platform hasn't changed, and it's not going to change when I win November 5th. We are going to make positive, effective change, and by doing so, a lot of it is just helping the deputies, give them the resources that they need to provide the best service for our community.
Yeah, because you've mentioned before, and we have a good group of people to work with.
We do.
And they seem to be dedicated. And I was talking to a deputy at the forum, and he had just came about a month ago from Clark County. He loves it here in the community. He was really, he moved over here, and I said, well, wasn't the pay better? Oh, no, I got more. So it wasn't pay that he,
No.
he didn't come here from pay. And he started reading the Royal Examiner. He said to get caught up on what's going on in the county. He was kind of surprised. He, being from Clark County, that close, he really wasn't aware too much of our strife that we've had, but he got caught up. But he seemed to look forward to the changes coming. It will be changed regardless of who
There
wins.
will be.
and he looked positive towards it, and he thought that it was a good group of people there, and he was
There
very
is.
positive about staying, continuing on with the county. So that was a good sign.
Well, my biggest goal is to provide a service for the community, and that really is enforce the laws that we've all agreed to live
Right,
by,
right.
and protect the individual of their constitutional right. The sheriff's office is a pretty simple position. Now, we have others that are trying to start laws, create laws, or this and that, and have their own opinion. But the truth of the matter is, the sheriff's office is a leadership role to enforce the laws and protect you of your constitutional rights. Now, the policies and so forth that go on, and that's why it's so important, because you talked about transparency. Well, when you are no longer accredited, and you are not seeking to be accredited, then you're really not being transparent. So that's why accreditation is very important. Mm-hmm. And if I do look at it clearly, I'm the only candidate that has been saying we need accreditation. But I don't want to go just with the state accreditation. I want national accreditation. And I really do look at Kel McGillis, and I commend him for it. CALEA is not an easy process. Right. So we do have Kel who's trying to step forward and do that. Now our sheriff's office has to do that. Our sheriff's office should have been leading the way anyway.
Yeah, we can't let Front Royal Police show you up. I mean,
well, actually, we all need to work together.
Right, that's true. That's true.
And that's why I've reached out to the surrounding districts. And when we actually put forward our methods and our strategic plan, we're actually going to be reaching out and working with everyone. And I said that at the forum. We will work with every single agency, because every single agency has been put in place to do a job that they're specialized in.
Exactly.
So why wouldn't you work with them? It's
right.
just ridiculous to even think that you wouldn't. So, and there's so many different resources and so forth. Not one resource is more important than the other. It all depends on which case you're working or what problem you're dealing with.
I think people in general don't want selective enforcement. They want people, if the law's been broken, they wanted people to be held accountable for it.
Well, Mike,
because I've heard that. Oh well, he's a good old boy. Nothing ever happens to that group.
I've had that asked. Well, are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? Well, my wife and I were married in the Catholic Church. I have very conservative views, but realistically, the sheriff can't be for a room full of individuals of 40 or more, and then over here another room full of 40 or more. The sheriff has to actually be for everyone. And that's why when I made that solid decision that I wanted to run independent, that's, you got to stand by your honor and your integrity. And when I left the military, I left with honor and integrity, and no campaign or individual is ever going to take that from me. Right. And that's what I've tried to live my life by.
I think these are positions of trust. We've known what's happened to us in the past when you have a position of trust that gets violated. It's like a marriage, it's when that trust is violated, it's hard to patch that back together again. And I think it's important, especially in our sheriff, we have to be able to trust the individual that's in that position.
I agree, and that's why part of our strategic plan is to have balances and counterbalances to ensure that once I'm elected, that I am held to those standards as well as my deputies equally and fairly throughout. That's true transparent, not just saying you're going to be
Sure. There's a lot of saying, but never happens.
Right, so we're already going to put that in place day one.
Another thing, too, of course, for us is communications. The public, when we moved the Front Royal years ago, back in the 70s, Jim Lawrence was on the WFTR, and every time the siren went off, he was on the radio, and he'd say, the siren went off, now don't go down there because, don't go down to 6th and Commerce because the police and the fire down there, and they're, putting out a fire or an accident or
right.
something. But people I know that's kind of local local yokel type stuff. But you know what? People really enjoy. They want to know. And that's kind of, we've lost that. But now we use social media. But people, you'll see it all the time. What's going on there? I heard the sirens. What's happening? And part of that is communications. And now it's not really forthcoming easily. I know there's investigations and there's things you need to keep close to the chest, but there's also things that you need to get out to the public.
Well, I think we need to work with everybody in the community, and that's what true community policing is. And I've been saying that for 2 years now. Nothing that
you use that word a lot.
My platform has been the same since I first spoke at the church where Danny Figgins introduced me. And it's definitely changed. My voice isn't as crackly as it was that night.
Your knees don't quite shake as much, do they?
No, not quite as much.
I remember that night.
Yeah, it was okay. All right. But
I think we have it on video.
We do. I really look forward to it. I speaking to the entire community, and like I said, the thousands that have thrown their support behind us, and you look at the law enforcement that is backing us. It just, and the business owners, it's the most humbling experience I've ever had, Mike.
Well, I appreciate you stepping forward, just like with all the candidates. I think it's great that people that recognize a need and will step forward in that leadership role. I mean, it's great. I hope things go your way, which I've told all the candidates the same thing. Right. So, I'm trying to be, fair and balanced, but, the Lord's will happen, and people will vote. So,
I believe November 5th, I do believe we will come out ahead. There's really no question in it, and I kind of saw that about a month ago, and when I decided to go 100% all in, and I look forward to swearing in January 4th, and I do believe that together as a community, what you saw 2 years ago, what you see today, you will see 2 years from now. You will see 4 years.
Well, your platform has been consistent.
I have, and I've appreciated other candidates taking on some of my ideas.
That's right.
It just
made persuasive.
Made it realize that, hey, what I'm doing is what I'm standing for is right.
Yeah, I can remember when we used to go to the forums, and the first guy would get his question, and the second guy would say, "Yeah, I agree with that," and the third guy would say, "Yeah, I like that too."
I've seen several platforms change, and over the last 2 years, and I think it's funny. Well, I think it's good. What
I do like your comment at the forum, and if you didn't see it, it's on the video on the Royal Examiner, the Candidates Forum, and that's basically the last question when Ray asked you about ICE and supporting it, and you just said yes, and then was silence.
Actually, that was Jorge that said that.
No,
on that long one.
Oh no, right. But you said yes as the answer, right? And then you said, well, what else can I say? You asked me if I'm going to enforce the law, and you said yes. I mean, and that was kind of it was just a short question,
you see it nationally. Sanctuary cities, or any form of sanctuary city, is 100% illegal and unconstitutional. I've actually been up on Congress fighting that because Northern Virginia, where I work, do have policies that violate 8 U.S.C. 1373, which clearly states no government official, state, local, or federal, can tell another government official, state, local, or federal, that he or she can or cannot inform ICE per the Immigration Act of 96. Therefore, anyone who does a policy stating that is violating the law, federal law. And then if you look at 1325, which states that anyone who enters the country illegally is in violation of a criminal law. So you have to look at 1324 now, because that makes it where it's important. So if that law enforcement officer, he or she knows that that person's in the country illegally and doesn't contact immigration, is in violation of the harboring law, which is 1324. So you're putting an individual in a trick bag, saying that they will not enforce the laws that they've sworn to uphold. So anyone who says they're not going to do that doesn't understand their job. So,
If you don't like the law, change the law.
and that's not the position of the sheriff.
That's not the sheriff's job, right?
So anyone who sits there and says, I'm going to put you in jail, well, that's not your job as sheriff either. My job as sheriff is to take the individuals who have broken the law or violated the law and put them in front of a judge and jury or their peers. That's it. It's not my job to say you're going to go to jail for 15 years or forever. So that's why when I think there was another candidate that said that, I said that's reckless. That's totally reckless and unprofessional because that's not their job. That's why I think people really need to start looking at the sheriff's position and see what it truly is. My job is to serve and protect, not to harass and mess with.
That's great.
And that's where we are going to be starting in January.
Sounds good.
So,
Anything else, Mark?
I appreciate it, Mike.
I think you covered everything that you wanted to talk about.
You know, I just it's been a humbling experience, and win or lose, Mike, whatever the vote ends up being,
You can accept it.
I've already won as a human being
That's great.
and as a law enforcement
Well,
officer.
we'll find out on Tuesday night,
We will.
and we'll see how it goes. Remember, that's Tuesday, November 5th. That's when you vote for Warren County Sheriff, Board of Supervisors, School Board.
And don't forget hashtag Warren Strong.
There you go. We'll vote for Warren County.
Thanks, Mike. I
Appreciate it, Mark. Thanks again for
Thank
coming in. And remember, vote November 5th.